Paying you big bucks for this, Marie.
I
She's
don't.
first dibs at lunch.
Yes.
Let me introduce Marie Dinsmore. Marie works out of our Alpharetta office, but really she works out of her home office. I don't think I've ever seen you there.
I've been there a few times.
I'm not there every day, so yes. I'm going to let Marie tell you all about herself, including a full history of RE/MAX offices, but of course this one is the best.
Of course.
It absolutely is. Marie has a lot of information to give to you guys. She has a unique practice in real estate, and I will let her take it from there. Okay.
Appreciate it. Super. Good morning. How's everybody?
Morning.
Good. All right, so let's learn some stuff. So July 20th, 2022, I will have been in real estate 20 years.
Ooh, congrats.
Started with RE/MAX Center in Swanee back in the day. And I had a mentor, and I will tell you, I had a mentor for 1 year, and she told me, she said, I will mentor you for free as long as you come to the office every day. And I lived in Cumming, Georgia, and still do. And I was like, deal. Well, she smoked, and I hated smoking, so we always ate outside, even in the winter time with a coat on, cold, but the mentor was good. So I'm gonna jump right in and tell you what I have learned over 20 years to help with my success. And hopefully everybody will get a little nugget and it'll be successful for you. So number one, name tag. I see 1, 2, 3 name tags, maybe more. Does everybody know Tom Gillette?
Yes.
He was my instructor with Barney Fletcher back in the day. And Mr. Gillette said something real interesting one day. I was in a CE class after I got my license. He said, wow, we got a lot of secret agents in this class except for Marie Dinsmore. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, you're proud of what you do. You want people to know what you do. You want people to be able to call you by name, and you're wearing it on the right shoulder. And I was like, yeah, because when people shake hands, they're gonna look here, they're not gonna look here. That's right. So I gotta tell you a quick story. I'm in Publix one day, and what happens is I'm in the grocery line, and this lady behind me, I'm putting my groceries out, she was behind me, she saw my name tag, and she said, oh, are you a realtor? And I said, yes ma'am, I am. She said, do you have a business card? I said, absolutely. And I handed her my business card, and I said, what's going on? She said, I have a house in Polo Fields. I said, oh great, I live right down the street. She said, I've been calling agents. This was back in the day when we didn't return calls because we were so busy. Those times are not now. And she said, I can't get an agent to call me back, and I need my house listed. She said, if I call you, will you call me back? I said, yes ma'am. So I did. Her house was 1.3 million, and I sold it because I had a name tag on, because I'm not a secret agent. So Recognition Express is where I get my name tags. You can order them online. They're in Vegas, but they do a great job. Have one in silver, one in gold, you know, because you know, us women we got to color coordinate, right? So do a name tag. Do yourself service. It cost me, do the math, 1.3 million for a name tag, so it was worth it. Number one. Number two, everybody's got a business card. Tom Gillette also told us, when you go anywhere, whether you're paying a bill, put a business card in. I had a Mercedes years ago, and I used to send my payment to California, and I put a business card in, and a lady called me one time, and she said, I process your car payment every month, and I'm moving to Georgia, and I know no realtors. I sold her house because I put my business card in every month. I have left this at restaurants, whether I give good service or bad service, I leave a business card, those servers call me, I need to buy a house, or I need to rent, or whatever, and I help them. So business card, they're cheap, right? 1,000 business cards, 50 bucks, whatever. Leave a business card everywhere you go, okay? Number three, the biggest thing in your vocabulary in real estate needs to be one word: passion. I'm passionate about real estate. Why? Because people want to deal with people that are passionate about what they do. So we all have our elevator speeches, right? Your 30-second, your 45-second, don't go over 45 seconds, you'll lose them. So can everybody do their elevator speech right now if they're put on the spot? You know, hi, my name's Lisa Smith with the Dinsmore team at RE/MAX around Atlanta. I changed my name, you noticed. I'm passionate about real estate, and I help people with the largest investment they ever make, buying or selling. And then you end, because that's all you do. You're a realtor. You don't need to go on and on and on and on and on. So make it short, brief, to the point. There's either interest and there's not. If there's interest, great. If there's not, my favorite word is next. Move on to the next person. because that's irrelevant.
Okay.
So how many of you are a member of a networking group? Good, super. I'm a member of BNI, and we meet every Wednesday morning, and we have 29 members. And I will tell you, my whole career, I have been in a networking group. That is my family. Those are the people that make me look good as a team, which the team is just me. When people ask me how many people on your team, well, there's a lot of people on my team, but it's just me. Why is there a lot of people on my team? Well, let me show you. Hopefully y'all have something like this. My clients don't just get me, they get this. And I'll pass this around, which is a list of all my trusted professionals. Why is that critical? Because they want to know who can clean their air ducts, who can do an appraisal, who can do a home inspection, who can stage their home. I'll take care of the photographer, but if they need an electrician or a plumber or a handyman or a painter or pressure washing, here's the list. I give this to all the time, whether I get the business or not, sellers and buyers. Why? Because they need to know that you're getting me, but you're also getting my trusted professionals. So you guys are welcome to pass that around. I did it alphabetically. I didn't, my admin does. I'm not that good. But it's critical to be prepared and be a source for your clients. And so a lot of my BNI group is on there because I refer to them, they refer to me, it's reciprocal. And I think that that's key, we need to have that. So if you're not in a networking group, I'd suggest you join one. It's really powerful. Sometimes you only have to get one referral in the year, and it pays for itself for many, many years, which is a great thing to do. So there's one thing in real estate I've learned that stuck with me for the past 20 years, and I want to share with you now because I don't want you to fall asleep in a while and not hear me. Once again, Tom Gillette. So when I was in class the last day before, we were all nervous to take the exam, and he told us, you crammed with me, you'll be fine, you'll pass, and don't be a show-off, because you just have to get 75 was all you had to get back then, and and just get a 76, 75 or 76, because no one will ever ask you, what did you get on the real estate exam? Instead, what they're going to say is, do you have your license, if they even ask you. And so I didn't show off, I lost. I just failed the first time and was devastated, went right back. It was all the math, because I hated the math. Got my license, and he was like, well, you weren't a show-off, Dinsmore. He said, you got a 75. I'm like, there you go. He said, but you'll be a great agent. You know why? Because you're not worried about the book smart. You're worried about doing what you do. So this is the one thing he told me that I can't share this enough with agents, because I think that I work with a lot of agents and there's a disconnect. Take control of your client, or the client's going to take control of you. You're the licensed professional, they're not. They don't have a real estate license, even though they Google everything, they talk to family, friends, relatives, coworkers, they know everything about real estate, but yet they're hiring you. Why? Because you do have the license. So many agents will say, oh, I can't tell my client that, or Marie, I can't do that, or I don't know. And I'm like, well, aren't you the licensed realtor? Aren't you their agent? Aren't you the professional? Yeah, but I can't do that. I'm like, well, why can't you do that? When you're negotiating with them or you're having a conversation. So that stuck with me. I mean, yes, we're all realtors. Yes, we all know our trade. We know how to do our job, but somebody's got to be in control. So I would challenge you to make sure that you take control immediately, so that they're not out of control and they know who is in control, because clients will try to control. Even if it's a commission talk or whatever it is, you be in charge, you be the realtor, you be the professional, you're the licensed agent. Okay. So I want to talk about what has made me successful over the last 20 years. And it's three things, but one in particular. So we'll talk about the top one. So I'm going to tell you a story, just like I did the shopping story. So 20 years ago when I started out, I had a buyer, and she said, I want to be in this subdivision only, and it was townhouses off of exit 16. I was like, okay, fine. So pulled up an FMLS, there were 3 for sale. We made appointments, we went and looked at all 3. She didn't like any of them. So she said, Marie, there's some for sale by owners in here. Can we look at those? I said, sure. So like 20 years ago, we didn't have all this electronic stuff we have now. So I had a blank contract in my trunk, with all the other forms. So I went knocking on the door, excuse me, I'm a realtor. I had my name tag on, gave my business card. I have a buyer in the car. She'd like to see your home, sure. So I went and looked at the first one, she didn't like it. Looked at the second one, she didn't like it. The third one, of course, what does she do? What all buyers, we love buyers. Oh, I love it. And I'm like, oh great, now we have no negotiating power, whatever. So we go in, and I said, great. So the seller said, wonderful. I said, so we want to make an offer. Can I bring my contract in? Can we write it right now? She didn't have an agent, obviously. She said, that's great. I did. Close your ears. Dual agency. And back in the day, 20 years ago, and represented both parties, went to closing. It was great. A couple days later, I get a phone call. This lady says, hi, I'm Lois Johnson. I'm with the relocation department, and I'd like you to send me your resume. And I said, I'm not looking for a job. She said, I know. I still want you to send my resume. Now, I was brand new in the business. I didn't have a real estate resume. I was like, so I went to my mentor and I'm like, Pat, what do I do? This lady wants my real estate resume. I don't have a resume. She's like, we'll make one. I'm like, what are you gonna say? I've been in business for 4 months. She's like, don't worry about it. You've been in sales all your life, girl, you know, whatever. I was like, okay, so we made a really impressive resume and we sent it to her. So she calls me back and she says, I'm gonna be in town from North Carolina. I'd love to take you to lunch. It's great. I still didn't know who she was or what she wanted or anything, but you know, you always have to hear because you never know. So I go to lunch with her and she says, I'm with a large corporation right off of Windward Parkway and we do corporate relocation. And one of our associates, you just represented her. She had her townhome for sale and you did dual agency and represented her. And I said, yes, I did. And so I was kind of a little nervous, shaking in my chair, and I thought, oh my God, is she really with the real estate commission or something? I did something wrong and get in trouble here, you know? She said, well, I gave her 4 other agents and she fired every agent. So that's why she listed for sale by owner. She said, and you were the agent that came with a buyer and represented her and your buyer, took it to closing, and she said, you were a rock star, you were wonderful. And I'm thinking, well, wasn't that great, but whatever. I mean, my buyer was like, oh, I love this place. I was like, great. So we paid full list, you know, did everything. And she said, I want you to be a part of our relocation team. And I said, well, I love RE/MAX and I love RAM. She said, you don't have to leave RE/MAX. You don't have to do anything. Just know that I'm going to send you referrals of associates and you're going to represent them, whether they're selling their house here or I'm moving them in and they're buying. I was like, and what's the catch? She said, well, there's no catch, but you'll give us a referral fee. And I'm like, and what is that? And I think back then it was 15 or 20%. And I'm like, doing the math in my head, I was like, okay, I can do that. Great. So all of a sudden, here come the referrals. And they were coming in abundance. And I was like, wow, they're keeping me busy. So to me, I didn't have to market. I didn't have to worry that they were pre-approved, because they were. I didn't have to worry about who was in my car, because I knew. And they came in on a Friday. I picked them up at their hotel Saturday morning. They were only there Saturday and Sunday. They had to go back Sunday night because they had to work Monday. We saw every house that met their criteria. It might be 24, it might be 32, whatever. Put your shoes on and you run. And they had to make an offer because the company wanted them here on a certain date. So they left on Sunday night. We were under contract before they left. They came back for the closing and I was on to the next one. No marketing fee. Yes, I paid them a referral fee, but it was wonderful. They were in the car, they were out, they were gone, you were on to the next one. They weren't here constantly where you're showing them every time a house comes on the market, Marie, can I see this? Can I see this? Can I see this? You know, and you're driving yourself crazy. So to me, that was like a super, super blessing. And today I will tell you, I still do their relocation business. And I'm the only agent with them that has done it for the past 20 years. And the lady that I started this with was in last night. We were at Vinny's, the whole team that we have, the closing attorney, myself, the lender, and her team of her relo counselors from New Jersey, 2 from New Jersey and 2 from here. And we had dinner at Vinny's. And she was telling me, she said, you're the only agent I haven't terminated in 20 years. Because she said, we've gone through agents, because obviously I can't handle the whole state. So she has agents geographically throughout, which most of them I've helped her put in place. So I will tell you, if you can find a corporation, and they're a Fortune 100, that does corporate relocation, I would highly suggest you try to get their business, however you have to get it, because it's year round too. It's not seasonal like our March to August, because they constantly are bringing people in. They don't really care that they have children in school. You're gonna relocate for a job if you want a promotion or a lateral move. And in doing that, you're also gonna take your kids out of school and put them in school here. So it's really, really powerful to do that. And I know a lot of people pay for leads. I don't pay for a lead, I just pay a referral fee, but it's a guaranteed listing or it's a guaranteed sale. Now, when you do list a home with them, you have to do a BPO, broker price opinion, and it is lengthy and it's, you know, it's a pain in the tush, let's just be honest. I cleaned it up, Janice.
Yeah, thank you.
And so anyway, but you know, you're only going up against one other agent, and it's all about who they feel comfortable with. So I'm gonna stop there for a second before I tell you about the other things that I do, because I wanna answer any questions about a name tag, a business card, being passionate, networking, or relocation, before we go further.
How long have you been in BNI?
This B&I group, I've only been in for a year. Prior to that, I owned my own networking company
Okay.
for 17 years.
Okay.
And I stopped it, and I won't go into why, but anyways, I love B&I.
Okay.
Wonderful,
What time
wonderful
do you meet
group.
on Wednesdays?
We meet from 8:30 till 10 at the Forsyth Conference Center.
So you're back in person?
Yes, we're back in person,
Okay.
yeah. Powerful group,
Mhm.
very powerful group, highly recommended. It's not just a networking group, very business, very structured, very orientated, but you learn a lot, and they have a lot of things that are out there for you.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a great group. Highly recommended. Hard to get a realtor seat.
I have a group that I joined about, well, I'm in my second year with them at BNI, but we meet at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yes. Yeah, because you're out of there. I'm out of there by 10.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talk about taking control of your clients, and what are your best tips, or how have you done that is very successful?
So I try to let them know right up front, just in a subtle way, like if they say something to the effect of, well, I thought that, you know, we could do it this way. And I would say, oh, I'm sorry, do you have a real estate license? And they're like, oh no. And I'm like, oh, okay, I was just asking because, you know, in real estate, we can't think. We have to know how to do that, you know? Or they'll say, well, my mother told me, or my coworker told me, or a friend told me, or I read on the internet. And I'm like, well, you know what? None of those people have a real estate license, do they? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think so. You know, so you kind of have to do it in a subtle way, but you have to let them know. I'm the licensed professional. I didn't tell everybody that I'm originally a Yankee from New York, did I? Sorry,
We
forgot
picked it
that.
up.
Yeah, forgot that. Not Southern Belle, sorry. But, so, you know, you do have to let them know. And I mean, in a nice way, but you have to, people have to be aware that, you know, I'm a licensed agent. And you know what? I think there's nothing wrong when you're with a client, whether you're in their home or driving in the car, to say, you know what? I've been doing this for X amount of time or whatever, and just share that with them so that they understand, you know. And sometimes I'll even say, hey, I took a grade C class recently, because, you know, we are licensed, unlike, you know, home inspectors and things. And we do have to do continuing education, you know, and you know, we uphold a code of ethics, or just drop something in conversation to let them know, hey, I'm in charge here. You might think you are, but I'm in charge here. You know, that's why you hired me, right? So, good question though. You could be a little more subtle than
And you
me.
say it with such a smile.
You have to.
I have a question. So for someone, I don't even know if you can answer this question, but what types of things in like a BNI that do you find value in? Because for myself, somebody approached me to be in a BNI group, and I just found them super aggressive, and I just found it like super rigid, and my personality is just not that. And I do like the accountability. I do like the opportunity to be able to refer people and have the expectation that I would have my name referred to other people as well. But I think I'm way more of just like a conversationalist, and maybe a chatty Cathy, and you know, like I like to get together for breakfast or coffee, and probably the group of people I'm going to be with are successful in their own way, but not near probably as successful as somebody who is very goal oriented or in a BNI. So what kinds of things could you say if I wanted to have something that is a little bit more low key, you know, kind of start my own little thing organically? What are the tips and tricks that we should be focusing on, but we can do that in a way that is more like, I mean, the only word I know to use is aggressive. They were aggressive, and just my personality did not gel. You know, I wouldn't have been any value to them because I would have gone on their nerves. Because that's just the truth of it. So I didn't know if you could say these are the things that we focus on when we get together, and I can take those and maybe do something a little bit more organic to my liking.
Well, like I said, I started my own group. It was called Network for Success, and you can have the name if you want. I'll even sell it to you. Because it's no longer in existence. But I started my own because years ago I was in a networking group, another one, Power Core. And liked the concept, but it was too loosey-goosey for me. I like a little bit more regimented.
Loosey-goosey.
Yeah, but I'm not. So I like to get there, get to business, get done, you know, and I don't like to waste people's time. But, and that's the Yankee in me, of course, right? So, you know, what's so interesting, I started my own, and I did it regimented, but a little bit more laid back, and it was very successful because I only let one person in per category. So one realtor, one mortgage person, one home inspector, whatever. So you could start your own when you get settled in your house, right? And I would go to some B&Is to take what you like and what you don't like, don't use, because they are very structured and they can be aggressive, but they know they're successful. So as I mentioned, we have 29 members in ours, and one of our CPA, of course, you know, they always do the numbers. She calculated last year of what we did in volume, which was over $1 million of passing referrals, and I like that they tracked that. Each seat was worth $25,000. Well, to me, when you're making a small investment of a couple $100 a year to be in that group, and good luck getting in one, because it's hard, because the realtor seat, I think, probably is the top seat. But you could be on a list if need be. Well, when you know you're gonna be guaranteed at least $25,000, if you put in, you know, you put in what you get out. They suggest you do a lot of one-on-ones, where you have coffee with people or lunch or a drink or whatever to get to know them and build a relationship, because that's how they're gonna refer you, is if they do that.
Maria, John Shapiro, I'm not wearing a name tag, but I will be. I can talk to you. I set one up, with just 12 people about 15 years ago. And it's great because you set yours up too, and it's just great to have control of who's in and out of that
Yes.
group. And it's been very lucrative and impactful.
Okay.
So love that you're talking about that. It's so great.
I started a Power Core team. I'm still doing it. That was 26 years ago.
Wow,
So I
okay.
can talk to you about that too.
I was at the old one, we met at Sweet Tomatoes, that's no longer there down at North Point Mall.
Sweet tomato.
Yeah.
Well, we've been meeting over at Cobb Board of Realtors. I moved it over there 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We're still.
So you're the ones that
goes.
goes in there in the morning and we have to fix those desks.
It's you, Scott.
Yeah, but networking is powerful, y'all. It really is. It's super powerful. I can't harp on it enough. I mean, I'm glad a lot of us do networking. It's a good way, because that list that I passed around, that's changed so many times.
We didn't get to see that.
Oh,
this time.
Maria,
We weren't hogging, I swear.
Oh, well, they
Liz,
just, the boys, you
Are
know.
these
Yeah.
people feeding you back some of
Yes,
those too?
yes,
That's
yes.
all.
So John just asked a good question. Are these people on my trusted list feeding me back? They are. So, you know, think about it. My clients call them, and even if they don't use me, I don't get a listing, or, you know, I'm working with a buyer and, you know, we're done, and they call them years later, well, how'd you get my name and number? Oh, Marie Dinsmore was our agent, you know, now we need our house painted. Well, I'm always on top of mind with them because they're hearing my name over and over. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm big into relationships. So when our lovely office sends our stats, you know, in February or March or whatever, I send it out to my trusted professionals to say, thank you for helping me achieve this goal last year. Because it was because of you helping me look good that I am where I am, and I did my 10 or 12 million or whatever, you know, and they did. I mean, it's not just all about me. If my home inspector didn't do a good job, and my photographer, you know, my mortgage lender and my stager and everybody, which is a part of the team, I wouldn't be doing that kind of volume, because it takes an army. It's not just all about me. You know, it's critical.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
Then my quota will be up.
No.
I know you've been doing it 20 years, so a lot's changed with the cell phone and a lot of good. And I know you tell your clients they're not the realtor, and I love all that. How do you manage, we were just talking about this prior, but how do you manage what hours you work, or people texting you at 11, 12 at night? And do you set an expectation around that, or?
So, you know, I probably work too many hours because I am passionate about what I do, but I like to put myself in my client's shoes, because I like to think, you know, there are people that are morning people. I'm not a morning person, you know, I'm a night owl. So I do work late, and that's when I get a lot of work done, because then people stop calling you and texting you and emailing you. But, you know, if I have a client that is an early person, and I've got a lot of them, they're texting me at 6 in the morning, I'm like, oh Jesus, I'm not out of bed yet, give me a break, you know. But I'll roll over and look at the stupid text and reply if you have to. You know, you have to do what you have to do. So I time management for me has never been an issue because I love what I do. And I kind of get up in the morning energized and ready to go. And I've got to share something. This might answer your question. When I had my mentor 20 years ago, she told me two things. One thing I really didn't understand. She said, you will have a list of agents you will not want to work with. And I looked at her.
Who was your mentor again?
Pepper dead. She's dead now,
Pepper.
God bless her heart, but she was getting ready to retire. So she said, Marie, she said, you will have a list. And I said, why would you even say that? And she said, because there are agents that are gonna be terrible to work with. And she said, and we all have to play nice in the sandbox and we all should work well together. And she said, and when you see their listing, back then we could control what we sent them, right? Now, like now it's automated. We chose what listings we sent the client, right? She said, you will not wanna send them those listings. And I'm like, Well, then when I had my first bad experience with an agent that wouldn't call, wouldn't return, because we didn't do texting back then, but call or email. I was like, well, that's what you're talking about, Pat. She's like, oh yeah. She said, you're not gonna work. She knew who the agent was. She said, you are not gonna work with them again. And I hoped I never did, and I didn't. So, don't be on that list with agents, no matter how hard it is. And I know it's hard. I mean, believe me, I've worked with I can't say.
We know her.
Janice will cut me out. So anyways, we all work with those, right? But, I really think it's critical in our industry to answer our phone, answer our texts, and answer our emails, because that's my big pet peeve. So I don't stop, John, till the end of the day, till I answer every text message, every phone call, and every email, but I kind of like to cut it off at dinner time if I can. Sometimes you can't. But I feel better because I know I've done what the client's expectation is. So it's difficult though sometimes. It really is. But I look at it this way. When it's busy, do what you gotta do, but when it's not, like we were just saying, Mike, it's not super, super busy right now, then rest a little bit and breathe, because the next wave is coming. So it's kind of a counterbalance. So all the women in the group are gonna love this. So this is what else my mentor told me. And you're gonna see how dated this is, 20 years back. So I had my first closing with her, and the clients, they were buyers. They were saying, oh God, Marie, you must have been doing this all your life because this was so smooth. This was my first closing. I was nervous as a tick on a hound dog, right? And I didn't even know how to read the settlement statement, so we got there really early to go over it, and there were some errors, and we made them fix it and everything, and they were so excited. So we walk out, and Pat said, see, they didn't know that was your first transaction. They think you've been doing this all your life. I said, yeah, I know, but I'm still sweating. So she said, okay, you're gonna get your commission check probably tomorrow or the next day. I was like, yep. She said, I want you to go buy something. And I'm like, Pat, this is the first check I've got. I mean, buy something, I gotta pay bills, She's like, nope, I don't care if it's a pair of pantyhose. Anybody have pantyhose on? Anybody wore pantyhose in the last 20 years?
Yes, I have.
So you see how I'm dating, right? But she was serious. She said, I don't care if it's a pack of gum, I don't care if it's a pair of pantyhose, and I'm thinking, can't we buy a purse or shoes or, but she was like little steps and then the big steps, right? So she said, treat yourself. She said, when you work hard for a closing, right? She said, buy yourself a little something. Every closing, I don't do that.
I got that part down. Pat.
Yeah.
But honey, when I go to Dawsonville, watch out, because the outlet
Yeah.
mall.
Oh, God, yes.
I'm like, so I go earlier or I stay later, don't plan anything around it, because then they get my dollars, which is fine. But anyway, before we move on to the next topic, any other questions? Nothing's off limits, guys.
They wanna hear what you have to say next.
All right,
All right.
so let's talk about probate. Everybody knows what probate is, right? I thought I'd leave that towards the end because it's kind of a depressing subject. So, long story short, stories are good. My mom was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia many years ago. She was in New York, decided to move her here because now she didn't know where she was, and per the doctor. So I moved her here for the last couple of years of her life, had her in assisted living, and thought I had everything in place, had my estate attorney, who's one of my best friends, did everything that I needed to do for her. Well, unbeknownst to me, the bank screwed up one of her accounts, which we didn't know, so didn't need to probate or anything when she passed, and she did pass on Thanksgiving Day a couple years ago. So closed everything down and went to do everything, and all of a sudden when I went to the bank, they were like, well, yeah, this is yours, but this isn't, because somebody set the account up wrong, and now you have to go through probate. And I'm like, That's exactly why I got with an estate planning attorney, so I wouldn't have to probate. So anyway, long story short, I had to go through probate, which of course costs you money. So that was in November, so in December, it was dead, and I was thinking, you know, I should help people with this so they don't have to go through what I just went through, because it's devastating enough to lose your mom. So I was searching on the internet, and there was a certified probate expert class. And it was only like a 3-day class, a couple hours a day. I thought, I'm gonna take this just for giggles. So I did. And I got my designation to do probate. And in there, they said to us, what you need to do if you want to be an expert is go meet all of the probate attorneys in the area where you live. And you need to create a relationship with them. So I did just that. And there's a lot in Cumming, Georgia, I will tell you. I don't know why, but there is. And does anybody know when more people die? I mean, I know this is morbid, but more people die, they die at a certain time of the year. Anybody know?
It's winter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving to New Year's because of depression, because people get depressed, you know, at the holidays, they don't have a loved one or something, so Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, that's like when the most of the deaths occur. So anyway, so I started going out and meeting all the probate attorneys, got a separate card, separate website, everything for it, made a nice brochure, and started taking the probate attorneys to lunch and just told them, said, you know, I have a personal story, shared with them about my mom, that's why I got my designation. You know, I've been doing this for a long time, so I want to be able to help families properly. Well, I get a lot of probate work from probate attorneys. And it's nice because those houses fly off the market, because when you say it's an estate sale, which it is, people come flocking and running, including every investor. So now I have a repertoire of a ton of investors. So when I get one, close your ears. I don't even list it, because that's all I need to do is call my investors, and they all show up and cash offers, close in 10 days, you know, no inspection, no appraisal, and we're done. So don't you know, those probate attorneys love me because I get them top dollar. And I just sold one recently for $575, and the agent that flips houses, he's a Keller Williams agent, good friend of mine, he has that on the market for $1 million, and he just got a contract.
Oh, wow.
But he had to totally gut it and redo it. So, you know, he buys the majority of mine. And he's also an investor, so it works out really well. But I would suggest, if you're looking for a niche, if you don't like relocation, and you think you'd like being in the probate world, get your designation, set yourself up, go meet with the probate attorneys. Most agents do not do that, I will share with you. You will be a rarity in wherever you are, you know what I mean? Because they'll be like, wow, you know, they'll be shocked. Now, what do you need to have along with that? You need to have a good estate company, because a lot of times when the person passes, everything's still in the house. And the heirs come and they dig through and they take a few things that they think are valuable, and then they're gone. And then what happens is they're saying, well, we don't want to come here with a dumpster and trash it out. Can you just handle that? Sure. Of course, you get paid for it. So you have to have somebody that does that so they can come in and do an estate sale. And sometimes they'll just say it's all trash, and they'll just want to put it in a dumpster and dump it too. And you have to have a good company to get in, because sometimes you can't get keys. So you have to be able to, you know, have the lock-free keys so you can gain access. But really been very, very successful for me. I do a lot of probate work. And the other aspect, you might want to go to assisted living communities in your area and talk to the executive director and say, I do probate work, so if you have somebody that comes in that has a house, because let's say they do have dementia now or whatever, but they need to sell that because, you know, that's like $5,000 a month, that bill, then I can go meet with the family and sell their home for them, because I know how to handle that. So there's two avenues. You can go to the probate attorneys, but you can also go to the assisted living facilities. And I will tell you, that's huge. Really, really good niche to get into.
So will you talk through that a little bit? I have a probate attorney that has referred me business, and so there's a guy that he, long story long, he's the only surviving person. He doesn't have any kids himself, he's not married. He got the sister's house, and it's just full of stuff. It was the parents' house. When I was there, the parents' clothes are still in the closet, anyway. So there's a lot of stuff. How do you kind of coach them through? Because he feels like he needs to go through everything in the house. Because there's a $300,000 life insurance policy in there somewhere, but he won't pay $20,000 to get the $300,000. He needs to go through each paper, and he lives in Texas. and the house is here in Dunwoody, so I'm like, oh, okay. So he tried to sell it with everything in it, and nobody's gonna buy it, cause somebody's gotta pay to clean it out. So that's where I'm trying to kind of get myself set up, so that you know, I've made recommendations to him, but he's still kind of stuck on, I need to go through it.
Well, it sounds like
Oh.
we need to take control of this client. So, you need to be a little bit more forceful.
Yeah.
Seriously, you do, because I think there's nothing wrong with not asking your clients, but telling them, hey, this is what we're gonna do, and this is why, cause this has worked for me in the past. Or sell them on the concept of, I've got this great estate company, if you need one, I've got one, I'll send it to you, they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And just share with them, this is why we need to do this, because whatever, the market's getting cold, or, you know, once the weather gets cold and those pipes start breaking, do you really wanna take that on? You know, just think of something.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta fake it till you make it, right? But the biggest thing is give them a sense of urgency.
Okay.
And I think that's critical, because, you know, the other thing too, that probate attorney, that estate attorney, they're racking up dollars while that's sitting on the market, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
And you might share that with them, you know, do you realize that this is costing you money?
Mm-hmm.
The sooner we get that done, the better for you.
Right, okay.
But probate's a unique thing, it's, you know, you learn a lot in that 3-day class, but to me, it's worth it because it does pay off,
Mm-hmm.
so, and it makes you the expert.
What's the designation for that?
It's certified probate expert, CP.
Okay.
Yeah, there's several of them. That's the one I took because I felt like it was probably the best one. So,
Okay.
yeah. Does anybody in the room have their CLHMS?
I'm a designated.
Certified Luxury Home Marketing Specialist. You do? Yeah. So back in the day, I took that a long time ago, with Lori Moore. She was the owner of the company, no longer is. Probably one of the best designations that I have, because when you're talking to people in $500,000 and up range, they wanna know that you are a luxury agent and that you understand that luxury is a luxury to do, let's just put it that way. And yes, you pay for these every year, but it's also on their website, and I've had a lot of calls from other agents out of state saying, I see you're a CLHMS, and I have a client that wants to list, you know, in Georgia, and I need a CLHMS incoming, and I get referrals that way too. So that's probably that, and my probate designation. Of course, I'm a negotiation expert too. I took that because I like negotiating and screwing with people's mind. That's what we do every day, right? We're negotiators, right? So when you negotiate, you have to know how to do it, and there's an art to doing it. Some people talk too much. I talk to agents and they tell you everything, and I'm like, oh my God, well now you just told me how to negotiate, so good, you're gonna get an offer that you're gonna love because you just gave me the keys to the sink, right? I say nothing. Yeah, I know y'all can't believe I can be quiet, but I am quiet. So it's interesting, but I would strongly suggest next time, I don't know, Lori used to come in from Texas once a year and do the class. I don't know how they're doing it now. Probably still do, yeah. But it's a good designation. If you don't have it, I'd encourage you to seriously think about your CLHMS. So our next boring subject is divorce. Sorry. So I have a divorce attorney in my BNI group, and she is a powerhouse attorney. And so guess what? When there's a divorce, who does she refer? Me. Because the husband usually knows a realtor, the wife knows a realtor, but guess what the judge says? No, you will not use your friend, you will not use your friend, you will use whoever the divorce attorney suggests, so Mally gives Mal our business. So if you don't do divorce and you're not in a networking group, try to get in one that has a divorce attorney, or if you're starting a networking group, get a divorce attorney in there if you can. Because man, they refer a lot. I mean, this girl, she's a partner in one of the largest divorce firms in Cumming, and they really do a lot of divorces, sadly enough. But you know, once again, it's a niche, and there's an art to doing that, right? Because guess what? Sometimes they're in the house together and they hate each other and they're wanting to kill each other, and you've got to be the mediator in between, and it's not an easy thing, but that's where you really have to take control. You know what? I'm the realtor, but we're not putting the boxing gloves on today, you know? So you have to kind of call a timeout for them, put them in their corners, if you will. So those are just some things that I highly suggest looking at. You know, hopefully something will resonate with you on those aspects there. How are we doing on time?
We are good. It is, oh, it's 4 minutes till 12. This hour has flown by.
Yes.
Another realtor told me that one time that they use that as a specialty. And as depressing as some of those things are, those
Yes.
are needs for sales, right?
Absolutely.
And when it's a divorce situation, not only are you selling their home together, often then they're buying two homes.
Yes.
And then later they sometimes get remarried and then sell those people's homes, and so it turns
Yes.
into multiple pieces of business. And
Absolutely.
if you can kind of manage the unpleasant emotions in that really hard time and show up for them later, it turns into lots of transactions
Yes,
for people that are hopefully happier later.
it does, yeah.
There's not a designation for divorce realtor.
Not that I know of, I'm sure somebody will come up with one, but there is an actual class that you can take though, on like how to handle or something. I've not done that because I'm like, I know how to do it, so.
Yeah, I had some clients write me in the divorce decree because I had to be the agent, and I was like, it was a mess.
Yeah, it is a mess.
It was,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it is what it is.
But I'm gonna leave you with a closing statement, but I do wanna see if there's any other questions, cause I wanna keep to our time. I think that's only fair, cause I know we all have stuff to do. Anybody have anything? And I'm always available too, so feel free to call me, text me, or email, and I will reply.
At 6 a.m., I'll give you a text.
And I'll be like, come on, Mike, really? You know I'm sleeping, yes.
I have a question. When you walk into a house where, you know, both parties are still living there and they're going through the divorce, and there's just palpable tension, how do you handle that? Like, do you impact that at all? Like, do you get stressed out, or are you just kind of above it? Like, what's your approach?
Usually, it does bother me sometimes, to be honest, but I don't show that.
Okay.
I try to make it sound like, you know, hey, I'm here to do a job, let me do my job, let's all get through this so that we're not wanting to kill each other and put the boxing gloves on.
Keep the gloves off. That's probably
Yeah.
a phrase you turn frequently, isn't it?
Does anybody remember Jill Elliott,
I do.
the closing attorney? She
Yes.
had boxing gloves at her office.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that's where you wanted to close, cause
Did
she
she
also had
reopen
free-flowing
in
alcohol.
Right, that's the thing with him, he
I
always
think
had
she
the-
moved to Macon and reopened.
Yeah, but those were fun times, right?
More questions? You've got her.
All right.
She's here.
So great.
So
Okay,
here's
wonderful.
my closing statement for you. I even wrote it down so I wouldn't screw it up for you. Follow your passion, be prepared to work hard and sacrifice, and above all, don't let anyone steal your dreams. Because that's what real estate's about.
Thank you so much.
You can have it.
That was amazing. Thank you
That
so
was
much.
amazing. Marie, thank you.
Thank you, Mitch wasn't here, you know, he might try to steal some of your time. and-
I know.
You didn't
Well,
have any time to share.
actually, I have a message to y'all from Mitch.
Oh, okay, good.
We texted, so. I texted Mitch this morning, and his response was, he said, so far it just feels like a stuffy head cold and my voice is hoarse.
Hey,
Real quick, Mitch said, Mitch.
So Mitch just sent a message,
Real quick.
so hopefully he's listening. I texted Mitch just to tell him I was sorry to hear about COVID, but I kind of catch up for him. He said, thanks, Marie, so far it's just like a stuffy head cold and my voice is hoarse. Sorry I deserted you. And I told him, no problem, I could talk for an hour and then some. You're passionate about what you do, you can talk, so get well, Mitch. Yes.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Awesome.
It was worth the traffic.